Welcome, event planners across the globe. We're thrilled to have you here with us today. We are excited to have you participate in our webinar. You're seeing now the legal bits that we want to show you. We won't take the time to read that, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to look at that. I'm joined today by my colleague Sheila Crespi, who's going to join me today in the demonstration. She'll do a live demo of the actual solution we're presenting today. Sheila, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here this morning or afternoon or wherever you're joining from. My name is Sheila Crespi. I'm a solutions consultant here at Cvent. So hopefully I've met a couple of you before on some demos or calls that we've been a part of. Excited to see you again and excited to show you the new Cvent event app.
Okay, thank you, Sheila. Agenda today, we're going to go over 4 parts. We'll have 4 parts to our presentation today that we hope you enjoy. We'll let you read those yourself. We won't go over those and read them with you, but I do want to cover a few things, housekeeping items. First of all, you'll see a chat function in the Attendee Hub app that or the Attendee Hub that you're using to watch this presentation. So please use that chat to talk amongst yourself, to give your comments in there. Also, if you have any questions and answers, there's a question and answer section as well for you to use to present your questions, and we'll address as many of those as we can. So let's talk about Cvent before we get into the actual demo. If you're not already familiar with Cvent, it was created by Reggie Agarwal over 20 years ago, who was organizing a series of events. The technology available to Reggie at the time was very limited, and his entire marketing workflow included 3 folders in his email inbox with yes, no, and maybe, and that's how he tracked the invitee responses to his events. That's when he decided to put aside his law career and begin one of the very first event technology companies in the world. This is one of the oldest photographs that exists of Cvent, and if you're familiar with the Cvent team, you'll see some familiar faces, as many of the executives that were there in the very beginning are still there today. The primary vision of Cvent was and continues to be the transformation of a very difficult event planning process, taking all the spreadsheets, the sticky notes, the checklists, the phone calls, all the emails, what was once a very chaotic workflow, and turned it into a connected and cohesive event marketing and event management platform. What you see here is our entire range of event technology solutions that has revolutionized the meetings and events industry. Everything from sourcing vendors, finding venues, to the promotion and marketing of the event, and even day of solution for the day of event solutions. And perhaps the most important, the data and analytics that are available during and post-event. This event platform can be used to support events of all shapes and sizes, from small internal meetings, road shows, to your large conferences and galas. Cvent offers many different but complementary solutions to address all your event needs. Our CEO's original vision was so successful that he managed to build his company into one of the largest event technology companies in the world. As you can see here, we have nearly 5 million events under our belt, and we support these with over 4,500 employees across the globe. Weathering the COVID pandemic has been an epic experience. We've seen challenging times before: the dot-com bubble burst, 9/11, financial crisis of 2008, and we've survived each of these, coming out stronger on the other end as the industry leader. And this time is no different. We have the products, teams, and financial security to make sure we continue to lead the industry. So, as a company, we are confident of our continued success. Supporting thousands of clients of all shapes and sizes has given us the ability to see what works. And so, with that, we can continue to evolve and better anticipate the future needs of our organizations. We've seen it all and are ready to help you make the most of your event programs. So let's talk about the current event landscape. It's no secret that technology has crept its way into nearly every aspect of our lives, and in-person events is no exception. As attendees get more technology savvy and the devices they use become more and more accessible, their expectations of technology usage becomes higher and higher. With this in mind, we believe that in-person event journey begins long before the event starts. Think of the touch points that happen as they interact with your event. Throughout your event marketing, they will hopefully register well ahead of the event, most likely using a desktop computer. Once the registration is complete, the attendees will want to find about the event. They want to see who's speaking, what sessions interest them, investigate which vendors are exhibiting, and basically plan out their event complete experience. The day of the event, they're going to expect an app to make sure that they stay informed, up to date, know where to go, and easily interact with other attendees and much more. After the event, perhaps they may want to check out some recorded sessions that they missed or review ones that they saw and want to see them again. This experience is what we call the digitalization of in person events. It is the cornerstone to a modern event experience where technology supports and deepens the attendee experience. Before we do show you a live demo of the event app, let's quickly talk about event goals. The core purpose as to why we put on events is usually for a number of reasons. Typically, you want to offer sessions that inform people about industry trends or perhaps educate them on certain topics, and maybe even throw in some entertainment. Perhaps you'd like to monetize the event where ticket sales, sponsorship packages, and lead generation is what's most important to you. Maybe you'd like to build a community expanding organizations and ecosystems, creating partnerships and alliances, and facilitating ongoing conversations that continue well after the event's over. And as always, keeping track of the bottom line is of the utmost importance. Whatever the reason, using the correct technology and systems will certainly unlock the power of in person events. The reason we put on events is for our attendees, and their satisfaction is the leading performance indicator for the success of your event. Most likely, all of your events will touch one or combination of these goals. Being that we're in the event technology business, and because you're here with us today talking about event technology, we'd like to add in the goal of events being systematic. And by that, we mean implementing technology or systems to deepen and improve the event experience, which will help your events be more secure, flexible, repeatable, less labor intensive, and more enjoyable for your attendees. Now, let me hand off the microphone to my colleague Sheila for a live demonstration of the Cvent event app, whose purpose in life is to assist you in accomplishing these goals.
Great. Thanks so much, Kevin. Perfect. So let's talk about how we can take your session content, your information that you have around your event, your videos, and build all of that into a tool like the event app that's going to support all of those engagement features. All right. So what we're seeing here on my phone screen, yes, this is live from my phone. What we're seeing here is the new Cvent Events app. So when it comes to publishing options with the Cvent Events app, we have our Cvent Events container, which you can always publish to. You also will have the option as well to create your own white glove, white labeled, s- own branded app in the app stores. So this can be accessed from either the Google Play or Apple App stores. However, whichever publishing option you choose, the frameworks works fairly similarly. You can search, or attendees will be able to search for your event in this search bar up here at the top by name, by a location of the event, or if we want to make it a super secure event, we can search for it by an event ID, which you can think of almost like a password when it comes to accessing this event. Now, I already have my event downloaded here. We're going to be looking at the CAB Annual Summit today. So I can reference any past events that are or ongoing events that I've downloaded with just a simple click. I don't have to research for them all over again unless I'm a great attendee and I'm attending all of the events that you have. So I'll open up our event app here and we'll be able to see a splash screen. So a great opportunity not only to showcase your brand, but also maybe even include some additional sponsorship opportunities as well when it comes to monetizing your event app. And now we're brought here to the home screen so we can start to interact with some of the content that you all have decided to showcase here. Now, this content can be anything from a highlight reel, so this featured video that we have here on the home page. This is actually playing, you'll notice, within the app, so it's not redirecting me to another site. But we're actually able to watch this video fully within the app experience. And after I've watched it, I'm super excited and stoked to go. I can continue on looking at the other content that you have brought again right back into the app. That content can again be showcased in a couple of different styles. That could either be that single card format, maybe we're using a carousel of links or videos instead. But you can actually choose to organize all of the content on this homepage in the style and design that you'd like it, all the way down to the half hour. So, what that means is leading up to the event, I want this highlight reel at the top. But during the event, I really want to showcase that floor plan, that interactive map that we have down here at the bottom. This is much more prevalent when people are on site asking me where to get coffee or where the restroom is. So I'm going to open up this floor plan here just so we can take a look at that. But again, we're able to control and put this at the very top of the page so it's relevant for your attendees. Once I do open up my floor plan here, you can see not only do we have a floor plan graphic, which is really helpful, but we also have our sessions tagged as locations throughout the this floor plan that we're seeing here. So I can see what sessions are happening at what locations. I also mentioned too, we can tag additional objects and items like our lounge areas that we have, like our coffee stations, whichever you want people to be able to easily find and just call their attention to, maybe ground transportation pickup, things like that. You can pinpoint those and easily add them onto the map. Some other key things to point out here on the homepage will also be our featured content. So, our featured content can be featured exhibitors or sponsors. They could also be anything that warrants your own internal booth if you're not using or partnering with any external organizations. We'll touch a little bit on what those booths look like later on in today's demo. We can also feature speakers as well. So speakers are being brought in into this event to present, be part of the panel, like Kevin and I are today. And you can give them their, maybe some keynote ones that you're really excited for, um, some visibility here on the homepage. Of course, you can customize the text of all of this featured content, being able to call it keynote speakers or maybe featured presenters, whichever you'd want it to be. And same could be said for your featured exhibitors or sponsors. We'll also be able to feature our sessions. So, our breakouts that we're really excited for, our keynotes, our happy hours that we're looking to drive attendance. We can feature all of those here on the home page. Now, what you'll notice here is that I do have the option to continue to build my agenda while I'm in this event app. So if I could click on this plus sign. Now, what that does is this is going to prompt me to log in. So we do have to go through a quick login or verification process when it comes to pulling up our profile within the mobile app. So I'll just type in my first name, last name, and email, and I'll mute that little annoying text sound there so no one gets that. This is all of the information that I registered with. I'll click next, and that's going to send a 6-digit verification code to the email that I registered with, as well as we just saw here, populated as a text message too. So if you're collecting mobile number, or if you haven't asked for mobile number before, you can even add in additional clarifying text to say, we want to make it super easy for you to log in on the day of, so this is why we need your mobile number. When I click next, now I'm logged in, and now that session is added to my agenda. I've already registered for it actually, so good to know I'm at least I'm consistent there. But you'll notice that it will complete the action or take you to the page that you're wanting to go to after you've logged in. Speaking of sessions, though, I think it is important to take a look at some of the content that we have in there. So let's pop over here to schedule. And we'll first take a look at all sessions. So all sessions are going to show us every single session that I have visibility and access to within the event. Now, this does, if you're using Cvent for registration and you're using tools like registration type or registration paths, we will make sure that attendees who aren't supposed to see or be registering for sessions that they shouldn't be a part of, that stays true. So I'm only able to see sessions that I should have access to in essence. Again, I can continue to build my agenda if you allow me to. I could also just as easily remove sessions from my agenda with, again, just a simple click. All of this is updating and informing your reporting that you have available in Cvent, so you're able to see all of these adjustments in live time. And at the end of your event, see, okay, who overall actually registered for this session or who overall actually attended, which we'll get to in a moment. Now, my own personalized schedule here is what I've either built during registration or what I've also, uh, you know, enrolled in during that registration process, what you've assigned to me. So you can see all of that really come to light and come to fruition here on an attendee's agenda. Now, when I click on a given session, this is going to show me all of those session details. So again, all of this is pulling over from that initial session that you may have created in that Cvent registration event. So it's one singular content management system, one platform where you're able to make changes that carry through to this event app, as well as to your registration site, your event website, but just really easy and simple to make those changes. We also can still see that session location, which if I click on that, will bring me right to that place on the map, making it super easy to find when I'm ready to walk in the doors to this keynote. And we also have our speaker profile here. So I can click on a speaker profile, read more information about them, the bio that they may have uploaded through another tool we have called the Speaker Resource Center, being able to see their full set of sessions that they'll be presenting at throughout the course of the event as well. Now, a little further down on the page here, we've got a lot of engagement opportunities, and just keep in mind that you don't have to use all of these for every single one of your sessions. You can choose which ones are most effective to have a Q&A or polls, survey, attachments, and such too. But starting with our Q&A up here at the top, this is where I can submit questions, just like you all are doing today in the chat, which I promise we'll get to in a moment or at the end of today's session. This is where I'd be able to submit a question. I can ask that anonymously as well. Once I submit that question is being vetted or moderated by a moderator that we've designated for this particular session or for the overall event. And that moderator, once they've approved that question, will appear here, or that question will appear here in this list of approved questions. So this is where attendees can take that engagement not only with the ability to ask questions, but also vote on them as well too. So we can see here if I have the exact same question as Andy, I'm super hungry, when is breakfast? I'm going to upvote that question and we can watch as that question got another vote. And the more votes a question gets, obviously the higher up the list it climbs, making it super easy for your panelists or your speakers, such as Kevin and myself, to identify what those really important questions are. I should also mention too, you can write written responses to these questions so that they can view any links that you've shared with them, which do support hyperlinking or any other further clarification that might be needed to give into an answer. We also have polling available in the app as well. So this is where we'd be able to see and submit a poll response. You can see I've already submitted my response for today, but this is where I'd be able to click on a poll response. It could be single or multi-select, and then we can watch as these poll results would actually be able to update as additional responses are given to the poll themselves. For live Q&A as well as polling, we do have a live display link available. So what that live display link would allow you all to do as organizers on site is publish what the current question being addressed is or what those poll results are on a larger screen so that way your attendees don't have to look at their phone to watch those poll results fluctuate or even see what that current question being addressed is. And then lastly, wrapping up here with our engagement tools, we do have functionality to bring in our event feedback survey or session feedback surveys into our event app. So all of this might look a little familiar as far as framework and design, because again, it is those session and event feedback surveys that you all might have been leveraging before. As soon as I click that, again, it's opening up this survey in that window. You all will be able to take a survey at the end of today's session. So just giving you a preview of what that looks like. Don't submit it yet though. I promise we're not done. We also too have attachments. So attachments are going to allow you to upload any additional documentation, informative resources, or even the presentation itself to make sure that attendees have access to all of those, again, informative and instructional documents that might be part of the workshop or breakout that they're attending, or just more material to walk away with. The last thing I want to mention at the bottom of this screen here is the fact that it is time to check in. This is a new feature that we're bringing into our mobile app. So this is using a self check-in feature that we have enabled for this particular session. So when I click on check-in, that's prompting me to enter in a code that might be listed on the screen or at the door of the session that I'm walking into. You can also have a QR code be scanned. And once I scan that code or enter in that code, that's then going to mark me as a participant for that session. And I've done all that work myself. No one's had to scan my badge, although we do offer tools that can empower you all to make sure that everyone is logging in and or not logging in, walking into the door, and actually marking themselves as a participant. So if you have a couple of options when it comes to Cvent now, where we can allow your attendees to self check in, or you all can always to use other platforms or parts of the platform that we have, our on arrival check in tool. Last thing I want to note at the very, very top here is the fact that we can, again, just if you're monetizing your app, you can allow it to, your exhibitors or your sponsors to sponsor a specific session. So that being said, let's hop on over to those exhibitor engagement opportunities that we have within the app. We took a look at some featured, we've already seen them a couple times. We saw some featured exhibitors on the homepage. We also saw those sponsors for that session. So coming over here to sponsors, here's where we can see our sponsors. We can break these down by tier in the app. You also too can create exhibitors and organize them by category, or I can always just sift through this in a list view using different filters that you all have implemented to help me find the exact business or partner or organization, even tool that I'm looking for. Once I click on an exhibitor profile, this is bringing me to their, in essence, booth within the app, right? So this is showing me what level of sponsor they are, if they have a sponsorship package, who they are, links that they have. So this could be social media, website, maybe a link to call them right away if I have a question. And we also too can see their bio that's been built in here. They have a contact us button and feature to be able to collect those inbound leads, as well as the opportunity to upload their own files and links to again continue to allow people to see what documentation or services they could or have and provide. We'll also have the option too to see who is representing this organization on site. We can see their event staff that's been uploaded here. And if they've allowed us to as well, or if you're using our appointment solution, I could even schedule an appointment directly with this organization or specifically with Catalina if I was interested. All of this, just like with our speaker tool, can be uploaded by the exhibitor themselves. So we can actually allow for exhibitors to access our exhibitor management portal to upload all of these links, this bio, the logo, their event staff, without having to interact too much or send you all too many emails when it comes to creating this profile that we see here. So a lot on exhibitors there. I do want to head back to that attendee experience when it comes to their own information here. So we're looking at our profile. So this profile, now that I'm logged in, is showing me my own profile image that may have been uploaded during registration. I can always edit that if you allow me to as well, uploading a different image or maybe even one in general if one wasn't initially collected during that registration process. I can also control whether or not I'm going to be visible in an overall attendees list, which we'll get to in a moment. So I can say, yes, I'm visible. I want people to network with me, know that I'm here. Or if I want to be more of a fly on the wall, let people just kind of go about their day, I can just always switch to hidden. Again, I can change that at any time. I can also too upload or change some contact information if I wanted to add in a job title here. I could do that. Oops. And once I save, we can watch that change be reflected on my profile right away. And you all will be able to see that contact information update on this event site as well. We'll also see some game stats here on my profile. Again, something we're going to get to in a moment. I do have my QR code readily available in the app if you're using contactless check-in with our on arrival solution. I can scan this to get a paper badge printed or a hard copy badge. I also have access to all of the announcements that have been made through the app. So, one of the most key and fundamental parts of having a mobile app on site is being able to communicate directly with your attendees without having to ask them to check their email. You'd be able to keep them focused on your content through using a tool like push notifications that we are seeing here. So, announcements again allow you to see as an attendee any previous notifications that have been sent out. It'll also allow you as a planners to link to specific places within the app or even do a sponsored notification as well. So we can see here visiting San Francisco. That's maybe a partnered organization that I have in this app, and that's going to take them and all of their attendees directly to their website so that they can learn more, or directly to their booth that they might have within the app. I also too have my messaging center here. So this is where I can see any previous conversations that I've had with other attendees, as well as clicking on this plus sign, start and compose a new message that I might have after attending a session with someone or eating lunch with them. It'll also be that hub spot for where I can access all of my surveys. So any eligible surveys that I can take can all be accessed directly here from this survey tile, unless I'm otherwise taking them from the homepage or from an individual session. We can see all of the eligible ones I have to take here. In this profile space as well, if your event has multilingual requirements or needs, if you're supporting people from all different parts of the world or of the country, then you can, as an attendee, would be in this settings place would be where I'm able to pick my language preference because we do have multilingual capabilities within the app. Back over here in this More tab, we're wrapping up here now. Just a couple things that I do want to point out when it comes to this app. We are able to showcase an entire list of attendees just like we can with our speakers and exhibitors and sponsors. We can see all of the other attendees who'll be joining us on site. I can click on an attendee's profile. Again, it looks super similar to the one that I have. However, I'm able to also message them directly from this profile if I wanted to. Better yet, I could even take a more proactive approach and schedule an appointment with them. So, this is using our appointments feature that we have. So, once I click on schedule appointment, that's going to show me all of the different types of appointments that you all would have designed and created. So, if I wanted to have a quick networking conversation with Erin, I could include additional colleagues in that conversation as well. Cvent's going to show us all of the available times that we're both able to meet. So everything we're seeing here are the two earliest mutual availability time slots that we have. However, I can always click on view all times and it's going to show us again all of the times that we're able to meet. I would just type in a quick subject, a message, maybe including details on notes or agenda items that I want to make sure we're covering, and then send it off with that book appointment. Those appointments do always live on your schedule. So, as an attendee, when I'm looking and navigating from session to session, I'd also be able to see any other appointments that I have on that overall agenda as well, too, bunched in there. So, making it very easy for me to understand what I actually have to do on that day in full scope. We also, too, at the very top, super great for those competitive attendees, we have our gamification. This is bringing us to our game center where you all will have the ability to design different challenges. These challenges you can pick from a specific icon, customize the name, the different actions and point values within each, how many times I can even complete that action to be awarded points. And you can see that Steven is actually passively tracking these. So as I'm going and visiting a booth within the app or downloading content from an exhibitor, asking questions, responding to polls, all of that is earning me points. And we can see just how many points I have at the very top, as well as in comparison to everyone else, where I fall on the leaderboard. So if you really have that competitive spirit amongst your attendees, whether it be an internal, external event, I know our team loves and Cvent and anyone at Cvent really loves that sense of competition. So that's why it's important to have features like this to get people involved and incentivize using the app as a whole. Last couple of things I want to mention too are the ability to create custom pages within the app. So if there's hasn't been a point in today's demonstration where you feel like you can create content that is important for people to have, maybe an FAQ page or information on what to expect when they're going back on site, since we all might be attending a conference for the first time in over 2 years, you can create those individual pages here, even being able to create folders as well to easily nest and make that information accessible and organized. When I click on a specific page, you can see we can have an icon at the top or an image, a graphic, as well as a simple text editor that supports hyperlinking. So if there's a policy that they need to be aware of, you can always link out to that through the event app. And I think that that covers everything that I wanted for you all to see today. We talked about networking opportunities, being able to message other attendees, schedule appointments. There's a gamification involved in that as well too, as well as some sponsorship activation options and session engagement. So with that, I'm going to switch back to our presentation that we have today and hand it over to Kevin to start talking about what we can do with all of this information and where we can send it next.
Great. Thank you, Sheila. Great job. I loved all the enhancements that are happening, and it's fluid. There's so many enhancements happening to the event app. It's just really impressive. All the our development teams keep adding features and functionality. But as you can see, there's lots of data that's captured, whether it's session data, who they interacted with, how long they did things, what their interest level is based on what they did in the sessions, their questions. Lots of data is captured. So it's critical that this data is dealt with in a timely manner, meaning it's critical that you have a way to interact, get this data into your CRM or your marketing automation tools. So we offer several out of the box integrations, including Salesforce, Marketo, Eloqua, so you can leverage the event and registration data very efficiently. We have integration with Concur to ensure travel policy compliance by incorporating travel booking into the registration process. We also built a custom integration. We can also build a custom integration for your specific CRM marketing automation tool or associate management system based on the desired flow of that data. Additionally, we provide a robust API so you can connect Cvent into any web accessible system or backend application that your organizations use. So back to you, Sheila, on the
So
journey
when
of the attendee.
Yeah, so when you're using one platform, as we've talked about today, to power all of your event needs, you'll start to collect data at every touch point, data that's going to help you build a better profile on your attendee. So, from the sessions I register for, the keynotes that people are attending, the questions they asked, the virtual appointments and booths that they've visited, the on demand content that they've watched and consumed, every one of those touch points is a piece to the puzzle that is your attendee. Putting the puzzle pieces together will help you better understand your customers and prospects. You'll also understand their needs, their interests, and how engaged they are with your event, your products, and even your organization. Take all that engagement and you can have it drill down to a simple number. And this is what we call an engagement score. So you can see how engaged a unique attendee or an entire company may be. We've designed a complex mechanic to create a number of that is easy to use and understand and can be usable in other systems that Kevin just mentioned, like a CRM or marketing automation platform. So, in closing, and to wrap up today, before we head to our answer portion of today's Q&A, when it comes to looking at all of your event goals, you can and should think about using technology that delivers a modern experience and that deepens and extends your attendees' engagement throughout the course of your event. So, while this landscape of events continues to shift with the digitization of events, Cvent is here as a partner to help empower you with the tools to bring your ideas to life. So, with that, I think we've kind of concluded our presentation part of today. So, I think it's time that we head over to that answer portion of today's um, demonstration or webinar.
Very good. Well, thank you all for the questions. Let's tackle these questions one at a time and get through as many as we can. Um, why don't I read them off, Sheila? And it looks like for most of these, scanning over them, I think you can handle most of these yourself. So I'm going to read them and you can answer them. How about that?
Sure.
Question number one: can the event owners delete past events so that they are not accessible anymore?
Yes, you can actually archive them. We at Cvent love data, so we want to make sure that that's preserved and able to reference and pull at any time, so that you can compare adoption from, you know, 2018 to 2019 and so on. So we definitely recommend keeping that and not deleting it, but you can still archive it so it's not accessible and as easily, downloadable by other attendees, and they don't get it confused with previous years.
Great question. Question number 2, I think she touched on towards the end of her presentation. Which text in the app can be translated into different languages?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we can translate, I believe, all of the default text and language. However, for certain more customized text, like your session descriptions or even titles, we would definitely encourage you all to translate that because, well, what a default translator may read a title as might not be the actual, colloquial way of saying something.
Great. Question number 3, maybe we can have this, whoever asked this question, we'll touch on it real quickly, but maybe if you, since you are a Cvent user, maybe we can have you reach out to your account manager or your customer success consultant. Question is, when I log into Cvent, the build for the app lives under the Attendee Hub navigation. I'm required to select website and app for in-person only events, not using Attendee Hub. Can you demo how to select event app only? So I think that may be best handled by your account manager and your customer success consultant.
Yeah, and I think also just to that point though, as we've talked about today, while we may want to only offer an app for our in-person attendees, there is a lot of value in still using that Attendee Hub desktop site when it comes to rewatching presentations that have been recorded back. So while you may only primarily be marketing and creating that app, you don't have to publish your website. I think it is valuable to consider as an option at the end of the day.
Great. Next question. You mentioned the homepage can be scheduled up to the half hour. Can you elaborate? Can I schedule in advance for the map to go at the top at a certain time and remove the teaser video? So,
Yes,
great
yes,
question.
you can. Yes,
Yeah. Next question. Is it possible to deactivate chats and any other form of interaction of the attendees with each other? Go ahead, Sheila.
yes, yes, you can. Yes, you can turn off that messaging feature as well.
Next, can questions be submitted before the session starts? Answer is yes to that.
Yes, yes, it is.
Next question. Who inputs all the sessions bios information into the app? Go ahead.
Yeah, so that is generally you all. We also do have paid professional services if you all want us as Cvent to be able to upload and create all that information for you. You can also empower your speakers to upload that information, or even maybe one of their admins or assistants to build their bios that are being showcased in the app or on the website for them as well too.
Yeah, to come on top of that, you have lots of choices. The goal is for this to be sustainable. For goal is for you to give you all the tools to do it yourself. But
Mhm,
if you find yourself say, I don't have the bandwidth or I'm not comfortable with it enough, you can engage with us and we can provide those professional services and put even a program together and say, I have 20 events throughout the year. Can you do them all for me, or can you do the first two and I'll shadow you and learn how to do it as I go along. So lots of options there of how to do that.
mhm.
Let's see. Next one. Can you please advise on how to tag session location on the map? That's a
We
feature,
haven't.
back-end feature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the being able to tag specific locations on that floor plan map, there are help articles in the Cvent community that can actually walk you through what that tagging process looks like. But essentially, once I've created a location for my session, when I'm adding it to my overall agenda, I would just basically tag that specific location on the floor plan. So um, shockingly simple and easy to do, but there are guides within the Cvent community to help walk you through that.
Yep. Next question. Great question. Nice to see the data security and IT team represented here. All the data that is entered into the app, such as names, phone numbers, questions, etc. Where is the data stored? Is it outside of the U.S. and within Cvent system or something like AWS? So we have two data servers. One is in EMEA and one in US. And each client, depending on where they want to have that data stored, would either be US based or EMEA based. So you have the choice. You can't do, as an organization, you have to pick one or the other. You can't say these events want to be in US, these events I want to have reside in the EMEA. You have to pick one of the data center or the other.
Mhm.
Can you open and close the polls at a specific time frame?
Yes, you can.
We use live poll data during our breakouts. If we use this polling functionality, would we be able to nominate moderators beforehand and give them app admin access?
Yes, that's a great question. So yes, in short, so we would be able to, or you all would be able to designate moderators either at the session specific level, or they could be what we would call a global moderator. So they'd be able to have access to launch polls or to moderate Q&A throughout every single session that you have ongoing in your event. And they would log into the app just like I did today, just like everyone else, so they could still see those permissions and still be able to launch those polls or respond to questions and facilitate as needed.
Another Q&A question coming up. Q&A and polling moderation, can it be limited to just the presenters and their sessions?
It can be whoever you'd like it to be, so long as they're registered for the event. Yes,
Does the app support SSO authentication?
it does. Yes,
Does a user profile support pronoun identification? Yes, it does. Can the administrator send notifications targeted to recipient based on their sessions they've signed up or specific areas of interest?
that is a
Great
really
question.
great question. Yeah. The answer is yes, we can definitely communicate with a group of either session specific registrants at this time. We could also, too, communicate with a specific group of registrations or registration types, rather. So if you wanted to send out a push notification to a specific audience, you can use a couple of those different buckets that you'd have right now.
That was one of the hot topics early on. They said we got this is a must-have. So pretty
Hmm.
early on, we understood that this was a must-have, and it's a hugely popular feature. Let's see. Can the chat feature support a group chat functionality?
That is a great question. Not at this time. However, our product team is looking to expand on that functionality towards the latter half of this year.
Question. Can attendees upload photos and messages? Is the internal social network tool still available?
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
It is obviously everything that we saw in the app is in the app today. However, that one is on our roadmap and is expected to be released at some point this summer. That's going to be a tool that we have called Discussions. So, if you're familiar with Discussions in the virtual environment of the Attendee Hub, we're bringing that into the app environment so that people can have different, text or even using photo conversations to post, pictures of the event, as you like them to do. So yes, that is coming.
Sounds like a Crowd Compass user asking the question. So
Mhm.
social wall will be part of the Cvent event app. It's coming. Let's see. Our meetings are internal, and we are big on networking and attendee interaction. Is the internal social? Oh, that's one we just did. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
repeating myself. Is there a way to log in as a user to view their access to ensure they're seeing the correct agenda items and documents? Good question.
Yes, you actually can. So if you have admin permissions, you'd be able to log into the back end of Cvent and actually pull up someone's attendee record, and you can see the verification code that's been triggered and sent to them. So if you wanted to log in with them or just making sure that what they're seeing is the same thing as you, you definitely can do that.
Last two questions. Are you ready?
Hmm.
When is this and this is not this is a real question, we didn't post this one. When is this new app launching? It's live now, you're good
It's
to
live
go.
now.
So it's something it's usable now.
Yeah.
Another great question, how are you doing this production? So first of all, shout out to Greg, who's the producer of this event, sitting in the background, turning our live cameras on and off. So it's using Attendee Hub. And so the good news or the nice thing about Cvent is all of these things we've looked at today sit on one platform. So once you build your event within Cvent, then Attendee Hub is really easy to turn on and use, which means this Cvent event app is also easily to turn on and use that as well, since it's all sitting on one platform. But
Mhm.
this is using Attendee Hub. You're watching this via Attendee Hub, all the features that you're using, the chat, the polling, the Q&A, and a lot more, the gamification that would be sitting there as well. Lots of features that we're not using for this webinar are sitting on Attendee Hub as well. Um, Also shout out to Alexa, who's sitting in the background posting the questions. Anything
Yes.
else you'd like to add, Sheila?
Yeah, I think just one other thing I wanted to add too is that to get specific with what tool we are using, we're using Cvent Studio. So Cvent Studio is a web-based production tool, which hopefully we look like TV presenters today. Um, so this is a a tool that we're excited to be released. It does come with the Attendee Hub, yes. However, it is a, a separate part of the Attendee Hub. Yes.
Yeah, so basically, if you have something like what we're doing today, you can use this feature. If it's a pre-recorded session, like if we wanted to pre-record this, we would have used a different tool to do the pre-recording, but there's lots of tools within the Attendee Hub depending on your need. Another question snuck in here. In future updates, will we be able to design our own pages using HTML or link to external pages, but also using Studio/Webinar?
That is a good question. I
So you
I
can, I mean,
believe
go ahead.
okay. I believe that we are, evaluating and the product team is looking into, best, fit case and scenarios for this. You can definitely link to external pages as needed. We saw that when we were looking at the homepage. Um, as far as HTML goes, that I can't quite comment on yet. I don't have visibility into that far out on our roadmap.
Well, Sheila, great job. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to work with you. And
Yeah.
thank you all for joining us today. We hope you have the rest of the week as a productive and eventful week for you. And we thank you for your time. And please reach out to Cvent. Find us on social media. Find us on cvent.com. Also, plug for Cvent Europe coming up in October. Cvent Connect Europe coming up in October here in London. And happy to have you come visit us here in
Yeah.
London for Cvent Connect.
And make sure you all too fill out that survey that you have. I know we talked about the survey engagement feature. I know we're using it today. So make sure you fill out that survey. And if you do have any questions or want to see a more specific or tailored demo to the events that you all have in mind for the event app, you can use that contact us link that we have in the bio down below.
Great. Thank you, everybody.